My name is Koga, and I'm here with Jam, Ruby,
Hello.
and Spin.
Hello.
Okay. Unfortunately, Chalora could not join us here today, but hopefully we'll have her here with us next week. We miss
Yes.
you.
Miss you,
We miss you,
Tamara.
girl. Love
We miss
you.
you.
All right. And without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to Spin so that we can begin our first topic today.
Actually, Jam was
Jam.
gonna
We're
do it.
starting with Jam.
And be me.
We love,
Yeah. So
it's a live show, everybody. Haha.
No
It's a
worries.
prank.
it's a prank.
Take it away,
Actually,
Jam.
so you remember what, 2 weeks ago we talked about cyberpunk and crunch culture in game development. Well, now they're delaying the game.
Again.
Interesting.
I feel like the
Interesting.
third
We're not gonna
time.
crunch. We're not gonna crunch. Okay, so we have a write-up from The Verge by Addie Robertson that says Cyberpunk 2077 is being delayed yet again, this time until December 10th. The developer, CD Projekt Red, says it's still working on a launch day patch for the game, which was previously slated to be released on November 19th. It attributes the delay partly to its multi-platform release, which will see games launch across 2 generations of console hardware, PC, and on Google Stadia. And a quote from the developer basically says, the biggest challenge for us right now is shipping the game on current gen, next gen, and PC at the same time, which requires us to prepare and test 9 versions of it. The company said in a tweet, we need to make sure everything works well and every version runs smoothly. We're aware it might seem unrealistic when someone says 21 days can make any difference in such a massive and complex game, but they really do. So, with that, one of the biggest things that we should talk about is the fact that, they're like, oh, 21 days is enough to make these major changes that they're saying they need to make. Yet they also said that they don't believe in crunch culture. So what do you guys think about this? Because to me, this just seems very problematic with the way that they have kind of run this whole development of this game, honestly. It kind of seems like, they announced it, you kind of really heard nothing else about it other than that it was a game that would come out at some point in time, no date or anything. And they finally started releasing dates and pushed that like they would work on the game as long as they needed. And now it just seems like they're rushing and rushing and rushing to release a game by a date instead of just saying we'll push it back, and whenever we get to being able to release something we're happy with, that's what we'll do.
Yeah.
And it just seems counterintuitive to what they believe, but also is now very fitting with what is coming out about CD Projekt Red and the way they're handling development of their game.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think?
To me, it seemed very interesting, the excuse that they gave, because it's not like they just realized that they needed to get their game out on current gen, next gen, PC, Stadia, all of this stuff. Like, I would assume that's something that has been accounted for a long time, or at least it should have been accounted for a long time, which to me doesn't seem like a fair enough excuse to do it. Because every other developer does it. These days, it's very rare that games are one platform only. A lot of games these days are multi-platform. A lot of these days, games have to account for multiple versions of a console of that generation, right? Like even like for when it came to game development, it used to be very simple, quote unquote, when it came to developing for consoles, because you only had one PS2, one PS1, one PS3. But now,
Right.
even within one console generation, the consoles are starting to change and they get improvements with PS4, PS4 Pro, Xbox One, One X. So it obviously adds more work, and I'm not trying to devalue how much more work it is, but at the same time, if they
They knew
were,
this was coming.
yeah, and if they really were against crunch, and if they really were against like not proper working conditions and all that stuff, they would have properly accounted for all of these things that they needed to work on and get done, especially in the pandemic. We have to be understanding of that as well. But at the same time, they also should have accounted for that. They also should have looked at, they're not gonna be the only game that gets delayed. Literally in every single like Nintendo Direct, they have a warning in the beginning that says that release dates may get affected by COVID. And everybody, I feel like, especially this year, has been a little bit more understanding. We'll get into, maybe the not so understanding folks out there. But I would say for the most part, people have been pretty understanding of like, hey, listen, we're in a global pandemic. If you have to delay your game, then awesome. I feel like what's becoming the problem is like they are delaying the game, but there's still crunch in place at the company, and it just makes me feel bad for everybody involved because the social media team is not to blame for this. The developers are not to blame for this. It's truly the people up top that are in charge of these decisions, unfortunately. So just be kind, y'all. Just be kind.
It just sucks because it's definitely like a publisher issue of like, we want this game out so we can start making money off of it. And so then the publisher is now pushing the heads of the development studio to push even harder. Yeah. And that, it's crazy. What about you, Koga and Spin?
Koga, do you want to?
Sure. Delaying the game to me is 100% fine. It's the crunch that concerns me because it's the developers who have to, deal with that in that work environment. And a lot of, companies say that they're against crunch and things like that. You still do it. So it's like I don't know, like when I hear some the publishers say that, I don't put much stock into that because it still happens. It's something that's been happening for a long time. And it just now got to a point to where some are able to speak out about it, but doing so puts their job at risk. Because, it's like this system that they have in place, and it's like, now you're going to start throwing it for a loop when people find out about it. But we're also at a point where now that people are aware, and they'll do it anyway. But when it comes to just delaying the game itself, I'm all for delaying it if it needs more time, because, I was just playing, about a month ago, Marvel Avengers. That game definitely needed another delay or two. And just take the time that you need to do so. I mean, we can wait. These aren't, necessities. These are things for entertainment. So you don't have to put in so much crunch time, on your people working on the game to get out to us. We can wait. Yeah. Please.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Especially with this year, like I feel like people are going to be way more understanding of delays, or at least they should be, because like you said with the Nintendo Directs, literally everything got delayed at some point that was supposed to be released this year, and there's still tons of games that were supposed to be released like holiday this year that are getting delayed until next year at least. Yeah. And it doesn't add up. Like, I'm just so confused. It's like, you say you're against crunch, and we're going to delay the game, but we're crunching anyway. But we're crunching and there's delays. So, like,
right.
If you're crunching, why is there delays? If it's delayed, why is there crunching? Like, it just doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense to me. And that's kind of my view on it.
Yeah. Even that moment of, like, them... I wouldn't say necessarily bragging, but when they posted about going gold, and it's like... Okay, your game is, like, usually when developers do that, it's like, hey, the game is ready. But I feel like that's losing its meaning as well, because it's like, well, is it ready? Because you have all the physical copies ready to go, but, like, how big is going to be that, how big is that day one patch going to be? And from all these delays, it's going to be huge. It's probably going to be a huge patch, and... you probably won't be able to play the game, especially in current gen consoles, unless you have that patch ready to go. So I'm not going to be shocked when the reports of like the gigantic patches come in, and everybody will be shocked like at how many gigabytes there are, and I'm just gonna be like, yeah, I mean, yeah. And
It
I'm
just
also with
downloads
y'all.
till the next day.
Like 21 days, really? Like, okay, are they just gonna work 21 days back to back and not rest at all,
Yes.
just so that this game may work properly everywhere? Like, that sounds like it's not gonna be good for anyone involved, gamers, developers, anyone. I feel like the experience would have been way better if they just were like, hey, early
We're gonna
2021, the
release
game is
it.
going to be out, it's going to be perfect, it's going to be exactly the way we want it, and our developers are actually going to get to rest, and they're actually going to take the holiday off, and all that stuff. So yeah, it's truly disgusting, the crunch conditions. And we can also get a little deeper into some of the other stuff that has to do with this game, because we kind of touched on it briefly as we were talking about other stuff before. And
Yeah,
I feel
they've
like,
got some other issues going on with advertisement and transphobia in advertising and
yeah,
the
and
fandom sending death threats to people. It's such a weird time in gaming in general currently that like
Mhm.
it with at least on the fan sending death threat side of it, like
yeah,
that's a little weird.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
it's
like
too much. Like, I understand disliking the way that they go about with crunch. It's valid to be upset about a game getting delayed, especially if you were looking forward to it, especially if you there was like a joke around, like the social media person told someone, they were like, "Oh, I'm going to take that week off when the game comes out." And they were like, "Yeah, the game is totally going to come out on that date." And then literally like the next day or something, they announced that the game was going to get delayed, and there was that joke of like, "Well, I guess I took that week off for nothing." And it's valid to be upset, it's valid to be concerned or to be worried or all those things, but it's also like I said, it's the social media team is not to be blamed for this. No one really who's actively working on the game and crunching their hearts out, it's not really their fault. So I would say don't take it out on them, and also like just don't do that. Like threatening people and do all of that shit, like it's not acceptable whatsoever. I would say it's even more unacceptable than the fact that they were crunching to begin with, in my personal opinion.
I
Um,
agree with that.
and like when it comes
yeah.
to the advertising, I feel like a lot of people, even within the LGBTQIA plus community, seems to be overlooking the advertisement, and it seems to be a recurring issue that the trans community keeps bringing up, but it seems to actively get ignored. Um, so just for context, I have an article from Medium up actually. Uh, and from David Cole to be specific. And there was an ad, and basically was one of the first ads, I guess, for the game, or one of the most prevalent ads. And it shows a body, and it basically presents it in a way that is unquestionably a trans individual. And basically the way that they portrayed it was kind of in a sexual manner, in a mature manner, kind of like the I think the literal wording on it was, "This is different, just like our soda, and we know you're fascinating and possibly aroused." So I think it was supposed to be an ad in game or something of the sort. It's supposed to be like a commentary on how that society kind of looks at trans people, but at the same time, even if you're portraying something in a fictional world, you have to understand the implications in real life, and how it's like, oh yeah, it's this cool concept where people are doing these things, and in reality people do fetishize trans folks in 2020 in our actual life. This is not a thing that just happens on Cyberpunk, and that's just an example. And it's situations like that that get constantly ignored by the community. And I would definitely like for the community to be more aware, to do a little bit more research, and to listen above all, because I feel like it's so easy to get caught up in the hype of it all, in the, I feel like a lot of the times people are hyped for something, and I've heard situations of people being like, I was excited for this game and I didn't even know what the game was or what the gameplay was going to be about. Like, I was just excited because everybody else was excited. And to look into it, I think, is very important, and to listen to the concerns. And I speak this from the perspective of someone who is non-binary, and of course, we have other perspectives in the community that we obviously can't represent because it's only 4 of us here. But yeah, what's your take on this, Spin, from your own perspective?
Yeah, with that, like, in-game advertisement specifically, I believe like the exact wording on the poster was "mix it up," which was
right.
Yikes.
Very
to
that.
say the least. It's like the response to that too. I was trying to pull it up, but it wasn't loading for me. In response to the criticism of that, what basically was the creators saying, I find this person sexy. I don't see what's wrong. Because like let me just like unpack that, because like
yes,
that's
please.
a lot. Like, there's a lot, and I know that it might not necessarily seem like, from the perspective of like a lot of cis people, are like, oh, there's trans people in this universe, oh, like they're portrayed in like a very sexy way, cool. And like, I don't necessarily think it's inherently wrong to portray trans people in a sexy way, because like trans people can be sexy just like anyone else.
Yeah.
But like the way that it was came off as very fetishy.
Yeah.
And like the response to it came off even more so, because it's like, if the bar of your representation of a character from a marginalized group is this person someone that I would personally have sex with, and that's where it stops, maybe that's not adequate representation. Just
right. Yeah.
Just saying, like, if that's where it begins and ends for representation, you might be just creating something fetishy. Like,
absolutely.
That's my thoughts on it.
It's true.
And even in another advertising that was supposed to be social media advertising, this was not in-game advertising. There was a cis woman cosplayer who was cosplaying as a character from the game or something of the sort, and she had a glowing crotch area with
she was cosplaying as that girl from the ad.
Yeah, okay, there you go. Yeah, because I think she was holding like the soda can and everything, so I think it was supposed to be like that. And again, it's like, even in the advertising, you're choosing, first of all, if you're going to represent trans people and you're going to represent someone who's a trans character, maybe have a trans person cosplay as them. A trans actor, for example. I know Tell Me Why was a great example of that. They even recently, just as a quick, just so we're not super negative, But on a quick positive note, with Tell Me Why, they recently added voice acting for multiple different languages, like Portuguese and I think French and others. And people were questioning them, oh, did you get trans actors as well for the main character? And they were like, hell yeah. They were like, yes, of course. Like
Amazing.
that's exactly like we did it for the English voices. And of course we did that for the other languages.
Yeah.
So I think they added like 5 different like dubs now with more languages, and I think as a way to avoid fetishizing, and that can even not be intentional, like Spin said, I feel like people can look at this and be like, just be grateful you're getting representation, and it's not in a negative way. They're not calling you any slurs, they're not necessarily portraying trauma and stuff like that, but it's like, well, you can portray someone as sexy without having fetishizing vibes to it, and you can avoid that by working with GLAAD, for example, which they do consultations for media, so to make sure that it portrays the LGBTQIA plus community in a good way.
The services are available to be able to do these types of things, one, and but the biggest issue is that the main group of people who games are targeted towards are not, the minority group of people. It's not the LGBTQIA community. It's not, it's not towards the Black community, other POC communities. It's targeted towards a very specific group of people.
Yep.
So to them, when someone who looks like me or has the same, identities that any of us do here, they're like, well, this is fine. Like it's representation. And just because to them, they've always seen the representation, they're like, yeah, they're just portraying them here. It's just like for women in games, they're always like, well, does this character why does the armor for this character look so different than the armor for the male version of the character?
Oh, she's naked because she breathes through her skin.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. Like,
I will never get over that. I'm sorry.
Right? It's like, wait, what?
I love that. It's the mental gymnastics that people will do to justify poor actions. There was even when it comes to that as well. I really also don't like that sometimes cis folks, when they talk about the game, and I remember there was this kind of conversation on the character creation of like, oh my god, your character can have tits and they can have a dick, and oh my god, I'm gonna make my character have tits, oh my god, I'm gonna make my character have a dick. And it's like, you can play around with the character creation. It's like, you wouldn't say that about like a Sims game or something like that. And I just found that to be appalling, because it's like, the point is not for you to have fun with the character creation. The point of you having an inclusive character creation tool is for people to make themselves in the game and to represent themselves in the game, not for you to play around and be like, oh my god, my character's gonna have huge fucking tits and a big fucking dick. And it's like, okay, like that's not the point. Like, you're going against the point of you're helping our point of like how this can be like fetishizing, and how this can be a non-proper representation of our community. But yeah,
like also you actually made me think of in The Sims, like, because when the update first came out that had like a lot of different options to like make your characters, like you could choose if they like pee standing up or sitting down, or you could choose if they get pregnant or can get other people pregnant, completely independent of gender, and that was great.
Yeah.
But I feel like a lot of cis people like looked at that and are like, why do we need those either one, they were like, why do we need those options? That seems weird. Or two, they were like, oh, I can live out my my male pregnancy fantasies.
Oh yeah.
I can use this to like that's what this feature is for. I'm gonna use this to live out my male pregnancy fantasies. And it's like, no, there are actual real men who can get pregnant in real life.
Right, yeah.
Did you know? You know that this is a real thing, and there are actually men who do get pregnant and have children.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, and this feature is for them.
Yeah.
Like,
it's not for you to be like, oh my god, these two cute men.
it's not for you.
Let me sexualize them and let me make this whole story about how they can get pregnant.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, so that's very reminiscent of that, like what you were saying about the character creator, about how some people are just like, let's have fun with it, and it's like,
Right.
no. Also, I did read that apparently your gender is tied to your voice in the character creator.
Oh,
Which-
interesting.
Like, you can change like your character's physical characteristics completely independent of gender, which is great. Love that.
Yeah.
But also, if you're gonna go in that like direction, why not just go all the way? Like, why not? Why would you have your voice tied to gender?
Yeah.
Is because, like, if you're gonna be able to have like people change their bodies independent of gender, like voices change independent of gender too.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially if the game is set in 2077, you would assume that people would be able to like literally just change their voices dramatically and drastically, also completely independent of gender too.
Right.
So
Which,
I don't, yeah.
you know, clearly they're able, that's like one of the whole big things in the game, right? Is that you can change things whenever in the game, right? It's, you're not stuck with what you chose at the beginning, quote unquote.
Right.
Yeah, I feel like in this world where there's like cyber modifications for everything, like I feel like somebody would have figured out, like, okay, if there are trans people in this universe, maybe they want like to be able to have this kind of voice or this kind of voice, like,
Right.
you know.
It's almost
I
as
just feel like-
if, you know, it's cis folks who are making these games. And they're actually
exactly
not
what I was
thinking about that.
Right?
That's exactly what I was gonna say. It's like
How dare you?
all of this is very like from the perspective of a cis person looking at trans people instead of
Yeah.
Yep.
like actually talking to trans people about themselves.
Right. Yeah.
Just like, if you want to know more, just literally just talk to one trans person. That's my
Hire trans
challenge.
folks to consult in your games and ask them questions. Is this okay? Is this appropriate? Do you relate with this story? Do you think this is too much? Do you think we should do more? Like, I don't know. It seems pretty simple to me.
Challenge to any
Yeah.
person creating a medium that involves trans people. Talk to even one trans person.
At least, please.
Yeah.
That's your challenge.
That's the challenge.
This one. This one. That'll help.
Oh my god.
Maybe two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're feeling
Yeah, one
spicy.
would be
The
ideal.
reason I
You can take time for one. That
the
would
reason I
help immensely.
the reason I say multiple is because they can have, you know, two different ideas on how they feel
Yeah.
about things.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I've noticed, even, you know, with this game, is which is why I usually don't post as much about it, and I'm trying to do more listening rather than speaking over people, because I do know some who are trans who don't have as much of an issue with it as some people are. So it's like, you know, I was listening to a lot of people and agreeing what they was coming from, then someone brings like a completely different perspective in, and then it's like, I'm a cis male and I just don't know as much as, you know, someone who, you know, it lives that life. So the best thing I can do, you know, is listen. And I think that if you're going to be doing things like this, you know, listen. You know,
Yeah.
it's not that hard. It's not that hard. You know, listen and see, you know, what, you know, the community has to say.
Yeah.
And it may be, you may be doing it right, you may be doing it wrong, but, you know, at least you have, you know, a better idea rather than just going in and being like, all right, we did it. Wait, why are they upset?
Yeah.
Did
I
your talk
think that's
go
the
up?
biggest thing. Yeah, I think that's the
Mhm.
biggest thing. It's like it's not that hard to just ask and say, "Hey, this is how we think we wanted to represent this in the game. Should we change it? How could we change it?" And go from there. Like, but it's clear you didn't even ask the question. You just said, "I'm
Yeah.
gonna do it," and did it.
Yep.
Yeah, and I mean, like, as long as the game's, keeps getting delayed, maybe there's time to implement changes like that.
You got 21 more days.
They have
Possibly,
21
maybe
days to change all those scripts.
some time that you could use to, talk to at least one trans person, maybe.
Right. Yeah. Oh my. Oh
Just a
my.
thought.
Yeah.
Right.
An idea. Just throwing ideas out there.
Yeah. And I think it's
Just,
also
just
yeah, I think it's also very easy for people to just discredit any criticism as like, oh, social justice warriors are gonna ruin everything, and like you can't do anything anymore. PC culture, blah blah blah. So,
Mhm.
you know, try to
Do whatever you
listen.
want. Just people can respond to it the way that they want to. Like, come on.
Yep,
yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. That's the thing about free speech is it works both ways.
Yeah.
Valid.
Exactly. Exactly.
Like, yeah,
Anyway,
you can say whatever you want, but I can also not buy your game.
yes, exactly. I also have the right to criticize your game and to say why I'm not playing it and why I'm not buying it and why I'm criticizing you for playing it. So,
Exactly.
just a
Exactly.
thought. But speaking of games that I do see myself playing, there is an update coming for Genshin Impact. Version 1.1 is coming, y'all. We have a write-up from
Ooh.
IGN by Joe Scrabbles. I'm sorry if I screwed up your name, sir. Genshin Impact 1.1 content update called A New Star Approaches is coming to PC, Android, iOS, and PS4 on November 11th. The game will also be playable cannot read via backwards compatibility on PS5. So that's wonderful. IGN can reveal that the update will add 4 new playable characters, 2 of which are 5-star characters, a brand new series of quests, the game's first seasonal event, and a new reputation system for individual regions of the game. Oh me, oh my, y'all. Who's planning on participating in this first and hopefully the first of many seasonal events? Same. I I'm I cannot stop playing Genshin as much as I don't know if I would want to stop, but it's so easy to jump back into it and do my 4 commissions of the day and maybe open the mail and there's like extra primo gems because they're like, hey, this person doesn't really play too much, let me give them some incentive, let me give them like a wish or two. Or they're actually really good like when there's maintenance, or I remember there were a few things that they sent to my inbox where they were like, oh, so and so's ability wasn't as strong as we thought it was. We made some changes to that character, so sorry for the inconvenience. And they just give you like a shit ton of primo gems so you can like do a couple of wishes.
Yeah.
I am very excited for these 2 new 5-star characters because they're both male characters. Definitely more husbandos for the game. Now we just need non-twink additions to the cast. That's my new challenge. I'm like, listen, I'm all good with the Twinkies, but maybe we could start getting some Bara Daddios up in here, and maybe so. No, but I'm genuinely very excited because this latest panel wasn't really my fave with Klee. Like, I'm actually to the point where I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna spend more primo gems on that. I think I'm just gonna save for the next panel because it's coming soon anyway, and I'm more interested in the 2 new characters anyway. So I'm just gonna save up for that. But yeah, what are you excited for the new season event, Spin?
I'm super excited. Um, I've gotten back into Genshin in a big way. Like I fell off for a minute there, and then it got me back. It got me right back. But I'm super excited. I'm really interested in the new the reputation system.
Yeah.
Because I read a bit about it, and they're adding a system where, like, in every city you have a reputation. So, like, you like depending on what you do in each city, you like it influences your reputation in that city, and I think that's a really cool system going forward. Because for me, that makes me think like, oh, if I have a good reputation in this city, maybe like quests will unlock, or if I have a bad reputation in this city, different quests will unlock.
Yeah.
Like I mean, I don't know, obviously, but that's just my personal, like, oh, what if they did that? Like, that would be interesting.
Right.
Maybe multiple branching paths, options. I like that idea. But yeah, I'm super, super excited about the new characters. What's his name? The was it Child? The
I just pretend his name is Shield Day.
But yeah, I think he's the one that he has a bow and a spear. Like he's both melee and range, and I think that's
gonna be interesting.
Super cool. Yeah, I'm really excited to like potentially maybe get him and play as him, because I think he's gonna play really interestingly.
As long as he goes by his non-nickname. Who would nickname themselves Child? Who would do that? No, don't do that.
Child.
You know what? Like, I have this super cool name, but you can call me Child. No. No, ma'am. Not this.
Man, you're mistaken. Not this.
Do you know how awkward it is going to be for everybody when they're doing their wishes and they're like, oh my God, I hope I get Child. No. Not that. No.
Oh my God.
I'm not going to refer to him as his nickname any longer. I refuse.
Never again.
How we want Child, and everybody's our like distant relatives are like, oh, are you trying to have a baby?
Right. Exactly. Not this. Not this.
Yes.
Creating awkward situations.
And accidentally manifesting things you don't want in your life. You know what I mean? In my case, I'm like, I don't want to manifest children in my life. No.
I can barely take care of my girlies.
Oh my God. But yeah, I know you downloaded the game Jam. Have you delved into it?
Did you do it?
I started, yes, but like very little. It's really fun. I love it. I was talking to Spin on Wednesday about the fact that I was like, I keep telling myself I'm going to play it, and I've kept putting it off because I know that it's going to be the thing that I do in the middle of the day, and then I'm going to go home and I'm going to play other games. So I'm literally going to play games all day, and I'm not going to do any of the things that are productive that I'm supposed to be doing.
Right.
But I've started and I'm enjoying it, and I can already tell I'm going to play it a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm excited about it.
Yes.
So it's gonna be fun. I'm excited. It's a good game. Like I said, I don't know much. Like I have not done a lot in the game because like I'm trying to pace myself so that I don't like get too drawn into it. But I already feel it happening, and next week I'll probably be like, so I played all day, every day for the last week, and now I'm at like some adventure rank that I shouldn't be at in a week's time.
I love that. Do what you gotta do.
Me playing video games, get obsessed, can't stop putting it down, and play it too often. But you know what? As long as I'm happy.
Yeah.
I was literally just like, so stayed up till 3 a.m. playing Genshin. How are y'all doing?
Yeah. Genshin Impact ruined my sleeping schedule. But how's your week going?
Story of 2020.
It's like I literally remember literally at 11 p.m. on the dot every single night. Oh, I didn't do my dailies. So I do my dailies. And then I'm like, well, I don't want to stop playing after I do my dailies. Like,
I
I
have
want to
more
keep
things
going.
to do.
And then I'll just do like one quest, and then before I know it, I've done like 5 quests, and then it's 3 a.m. You know how it goes.
The usual.
Yeah.
The usual.
Yeah. I
I know that feel.
I don't even know like half of the story at this point. Like I skip through it so much because I feel like the combat is so appealing to me that I almost like I read tidbits here and there as like because the game doesn't allow you sometimes to like skip it super quickly, especially if there's like voice lines in it. Like they make you like at least for a little bit listen slightly to it. And I'm into it, but I'm not gonna lie, y'all. I play the game because it's pure fun when it comes to the combat, and I will not be able to tell you anything about the story, and it's fine.
Yeah, the combat
It's just don't ask me questions specifically about it, and we're good.
Nice.
Like the combat's fun. It's visually pleasing. The music is good. Like all around it, just kind of is a good experience. And I think that's what just makes it so that you kind of can't put it down.
Yeah. And it's really cool that it's compatible with PS5. I will say that as well. Like backwards compatibility already on lock, honey. They did that. It's really cool.
Yeah.
It really did.
Do you have any interest in it, Koga, whatsoever?
Boy. So I log in every day to collect oh my god, hold on. The pentagrams? The pentagrams.
The pentagrams, yeah.
Yeah, the pentagrams.
We'll say that. Yeah, might as well.
Right.
It's the Halloween episode, everyone.
It's Primogems. I did actually was looking this up. So if you saw me looking at my computer, that was why. I'm trying to get it right, please. So I'll just log in every day to collect those because I don't really get to play it as much. As I said before, Dragon Ball Z Dokkan is like my main gacha game, and playing 2 of these things at one time is
I can
rough.
imagine.
Right?
So I'm sitting at like 75,000 Primogems. And I'm somewhere in the story. And then like Ruby was saying, I don't pay much attention to the story that much. It's not saying that it's bad or anything else, but what the time that I have spent, the gameplay is most definitely fun. It's fun to build a team and get the effects going, and it's like, okay, well now I need this character, but then I have to summon for them, and I start having flashbacks of times where I summoned and didn't get what I wanted, and then I'm just like, now I'm broke. So when they make like a really, when I get an idea of how they're gonna handle their banners in the future and how soon characters come back, and probably just wait for like a really good big banner, because from what I've seen so far, it's not like there's a need to do that to progress. So with my mindset on how I handle gacha games now, for the most part, unless I need to, I'm not really going to. And since these are like, brand new characters, unlike, Dragon Ball, I have no attachment to these characters. So if I don't get them, it's not gonna, bother me as much to wait rather than wait for, because I don't want to really spend any money. I don't.
Yeah.
I've been, as I'm progressing through the game, I've been really impressed with like how you really don't have to spend money if you don't want to.
Oh yeah.
Which is nice. It's like in this type of game where you can spend money to progress. It's like the fact that it doesn't feel like you have to, because some games have it where you technically don't ever have to spend money to progress, but the way they set up the gameplay is specifically to get you to spend money to progress. And I feel like Genshin has made that balance of like, you can spend money if you do want to, but it's not necessary, and you're not going to feel like you're missing something by not. If you spend it, you'll be like, okay, great, I got this other thing that I wanted, but if I just play the game without spending the money, I'm progressing at a rate that makes the game still feel fun. It makes it still playable for me. And I think that is such a hard thing to strike a balance with for these types of games, that some people just make it to where it's like that at the very beginning, and then the barrier to progress just becomes so high that you have to spend money. And with the amount that people have played this game already, the fact that they haven't hit that is interesting, right? Because some of these games, like people play them so often early on when they come out that they hit that barrier very, very quickly. And it seems like no one's hit that. People are mainly saying, "Oh, I spent money because I was interested in just spending that extra money," not
Yeah.
that they felt they had to, which is nice.
And some people have
one-
justified. Oh, sorry, Koga. Go ahead.
Yeah. One thing I was just say I do like about that I noticed about the community on YouTube is that they're pretty forward about how much they've spent. Like I'll go through and I'll say this in like hundreds or whatever. Normally in gacha games, people like to be like really quiet. They'd be like, "I spent too much, don't ask." But then I'll look up for Genshin Impact, and I'm showing how much they spent, and I'm like, okay, I couldn't do that. But I mean, if you're a content creator and it comes back to you, I can definitely understand that. So I do know a few who like spend like thousands of dollars on banners, but because of the content that they create, they get it all back like pretty soon.
Right. Yeah.
But I'm
Yeah,
not I'm
they
not, I'm
make
not one of them.
that like exciting title, like I spent $1,000 on Genshin Impact.
Did I get
Here's what I
Luke?
But I
Yeah.
actually really like but I really like that they're open about that. 'Cause I mean, it's
Yeah.
not something that I mean, if it's your money, do what you do, and I think that's cool.
Yeah, and some people have justified the money that they've spent because the game is free, so they're like, well, I mean, I've spent so many hours on this game. I feel like it is worth the amount of money that I put into it because, it's almost like watching a live stream, right? You can watch it for free, but if you feel as though like that person really impacts you or you really enjoy the content from that person and you really spend hours and hours consuming that content, some people do justify and be like, yeah, hell yeah, I'm gonna give you money. Hell yeah, I'm gonna spend money on this game. And even in story quests, you can play as characters that are like 5 stars. They will give you the characters like temporarily, so you can play like that quest, and they have like a trial run with it. And they even introduced a new currency now. Well, not really a currency. Let me explain. So every day you have 4 commissions, and after you do a certain amount of commissions, you get a key, and you can get up to 3 different keys. And when you get to a certain adventure rank, you can actually use those keys to play certain character story quests, even if you don't have the characters. So I think there's like one for Klee, there's one for Mona, if I'm not mistaken, and there's a third one that I can't remember right now off the top of my head because I don't have that adventure rank anyway. I'm taking it very slowly. But yeah, the game has tons of different currencies. Like, as long as you advance with your adventure rank, you can do like dungeons, and you can get stuff to upgrade your weapons, and that's a whole other currency. Also, when you do the gacha, if you get duplicates, that also gives you currency for you to get more primo gems in the future or more wishes in the future. If you get weapons, you also accumulate certain currencies that you can also get after like every few days. Mine actually unlocks like later today, and I can buy more wishes without spending any money, just from wishes that I got from drawing weapons and duplicates and stuff like that. So I can still say that I haven't spent a single coin on Genshin Impact, and I actually really, really love that because the game doesn't really give me any reasons to, and that's really cool. But yes, man, speaking of more games, we have a ton of games to talk about.
Yeah, we got the new Nintendo Direct Mini that announced a bunch of stuff. I'm going to read a little write-up from IGN by Adam Bankhurst. Nintendo has presented a brand new Nintendo Direct Mini partner showcase that featured such games and announcements as Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity's demo, Bravely Default 2's delay, Control's cloud version on Switch, and much more. So, okay, I'm gonna briefly go through like a list of all of the stuff that was announced.
Yes.
And then we can unpack it. Okay, so we got Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, Bravely Default 2, Control Ultimate Edition, Hitman 3, No More Heroes 3, Immortals Phoenix Rising, Story of Seasons, Pioneers of Olive Town, Part-Time UFO, Tropico 6, Surviving the Aftermath, Bakugan, Champions of Vestroia, and Grifflands. All right. So what do we think? What are we excited about?
Ooh.
I know.
It is important to note as well, and I feel like there's a big conversation happening with that too, of Hitman 3 and Control being cloud only.
Yes.
Um,
What do we think about that? Because
so
I was just watching that and I was like, wait a minute.
So for people who don't know, this was a direct mini that came out of nowhere. It's their last partner showcase of the year, so they might have like a first party showcase before the year ends, but this is the last partner showcase, so this is for non-Nintendo developed things. And two of the games, Control and Hitman 3, were announced, but with the condition that they're actually a cloud version. And what that entails is you basically, I think before you purchase the game, you get access to a launcher so that you can test out your internet's connection. You can test out if the game will actually run. Because what happens is you're not actually running the games from your Switch. You're actually running them from a cloud service, kind of like xCloud, Google Stadia, PS Now. You get the gist. So you're not actually running them from the Switch, which I thought was surprising when I was watching this. I actually watched it live on stream because I was like, oh, work, it happened. So I was watching it and I was like, I wonder how they're gonna run Control, because if you know anything about Control, is like it's a very graphically demanding game. Like I've seen tons of like, because I'm looking into upgrading to a desktop computer, and I'm like, and I keep seeing these like these different videos that they do with like comparisons of like the different graphics cards and all that stuff. And I was looking at usually for Control, like it's hugely impacted, and usually like it's a game that takes a lot out of the systems. So I was like, how are they gonna run it? And turns out the Switch is not gonna run it. Apparently this is not a new thing though. Like I looked into it, and apparently in Japan they've had other games come out where it was cloud only, but these are the first ones to come out in the West, that are going to be cloud specific. So what do y'all
It
think
makes
about
sense.
that?
So to me, I think it's Nintendo one addressing the fact that like they released a console in a console generation where graphics became even more important than they had been in the past, right? And it just didn't keep up with it. Like as much as I love my Switch, it's when I go to play games that I want to say, okay, this is extremely visually pleasing in terms of looking for things that might have either photorealism or a lot of atmospheric things that are changing and things like that. The Switch just kind of can't handle that. And that's evident with the fact that when the game Outer Worlds came out, like it ran like garbage on the Switch because it couldn't handle the way that they put out textures for the game. And that's a game that was built on an old engine. It wasn't even built on the newest version of that engine that they could have used for that game. And so I think it's smart of them to go this way. But the only big issue I have is that Nintendo is not well known for their servers or their connections being very good on their consoles. So I don't know how well this is going to go. It must be working because they've been doing it in Japan, but that's assuming that people have fast enough internet to be able to do this. And most people probably don't, even though they have fast enough internet to play games online, but they're hosting the graphics processing and all of that, locally. So it's just very interesting that they would make this choice. But I would assume that they figured it would work. At least they add in the testing prior to purchase, which I give them that. Like, you're not going to play the game, buy the game, think you can play it, and then you can't. You can at least test it. But it's just, I don't know. It's just weird. It seems like a weird choice. But I guess they have to do what they have to do to be able to play these types of games that are popular.
Yeah, but especially with a console that the appeal of it and the marketing behind it often is that you can take your games anywhere. That kind of beats the purpose of it, because with a cloud specific one, you have to always be connected to the internet. And I don't know how it is in Japan. I don't know if they have Wi-Fi everywhere, but that's not the case here, for example. And you can't just go anywhere and have internet anywhere, or specifically like stable internet that's good enough for you to play a video game, especially a game like Control and Hitman. It's these are not like lightweight games that you can just like, oh, let me just get into it. Like, no, like you're not going to be able to play this on a flight. You're not going to be able to, all of these things that usually people take their Switches with them to do. That's just not something you can do here. And also, for a console that doesn't provide refunds for their games, this is a very, I feel like if you're getting a game that you're not even sure you're going to be able to run, you're taking a huge risk, honey, because they are not going to give you a refund, and that's going to be your problem. And so yeah, I hope this is just a semi, not permanent, but I hope this is a temporary solution to the rumored better Switch coming out. And hopefully that version will be able to handle games like this. That would be really nice. Especially because during this entire situation, like the entire direct mini, I was watching it, and some of these games, I was looking at them and I was like, this literally looks like when I play games on my PC, like in the lowest settings possible. Like this is like, it's starting to show, like frame rate wise, visually, like it's starting to show its flaws. The more that people try to push the limits, like the more and more it's like, well, there's not really much else that we can do here. But I'm excited for Bravely Default. I've heard good things about it, so I want to get into it for sure. It looked really fun, the little trailer that we got. Even if it got delayed, I honestly at this point don't really care. But yeah, did any of these stand out to y'all from the announcements / updates?
I still want to play the most recent Story of Seasons that came out, and like them introducing a new Story of Seasons game. I'm just like, oh, I really got to catch up.
Yeah,
it looks super cute, and I think that's going to be really fun. I was also kind of interested in Immortals Phoenix Rising, because I really like ancient mythology, and it's like looks like it's based on like a lot of like Greek mythology. And that looked really cool. Like of these games, those would probably be the ones I'd probably be most likely to play. The Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity demo is also out now, I believe, on the eShop, and I might get into that.
I'm excited for that. Very excited for that.
The entire first chapter.
I've never played Hyrule Warriors or like any of the Dynasty Warriors games, but like just from what they showed in this, and then also in the last direct with Pikmin, like the gameplay looks really interesting, and the combat for all the characters looks really cool. So I'd be into giving that a shot.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
This game called UFO, Part-Time UFO, looked really cute. I'm not gonna lie. The game is out now, and I'm very tempted to get it. I'm just gonna put that out there.
I haven't seen that one.
Oh my god, it's this cute game where you play as a UFO, and it reminds me of those like claw machines that you put like a coin in, and you basically get to like stack. And basically the game is like you have different missions, and it's very silly. Like there's one of the levels that they showed very, very briefly where you're stacking cheerleaders on top of each other, and you're making these like mountains of stuff, and it just looks so silly and chaotic. And I'm like, I really want to get into it.
My life.
That I might have to play that. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's really, and the art style is really like, it's cute but also like chaotic. I think it's great. Nobody's talking about that game, but I think it looks great. What about you, Koga? Are you looking into any of these titles?
Switch, I'm waiting for the newer one to come out. But no more. I wanted to get into the No More Heroes series, so seeing No More Heroes 3, unless it goes to, I'm not sure that's going to be exclusive for the Switch or not. Then you have Hyrule Wars is something else that I would want to try as well. I played the previous one and I enjoyed playing that one. Um, as for Control and Hitman, being on a cloud server, not sure how I feel about that, especially with most. Well, no, none of the consoles came with a no, none of the Switches comes with a LAN adapter or anything, so it's just all Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah, and you
and
have to buy a USB adapter
Yeah.
to
yeah,
connect
and
to the Ethernet.
yeah, and people don't want to do that. Trust me, I know from experience about talking with people about fighting games, Smash Brothers, netcode, and jacking in the cord so there's not anything dropping packets. It ain't happening that well.
Yeah.
So, it, so I mean, I'm more curious about like is it going to be like a on par with the PS4 versions of the game? I'm honestly kind of curious on like what is it going to look like? How is it going to perform since it's on a cloud? Because I would assume that it would then just be better than what the Switch can produce. So I'm kind of curious on
Yeah.
what it would look like.
By
But
the way, No More Heroes seems to be a Nintendo Switch exclusive. I don't think there's any information on other platforms. But yeah, it seems as though it's going to be a Nintendo exclusive. They also released 1 and 2 as ports for the Switch as well, which is nice.
oh, okay. Cool. It's all in one thing. So when hopefully a more powerful Switch comes out next year, I'll get that if it doesn't sell out and then scalpers go having fun again.
Oh my god.
It definitely will.
Ugh.
Yeah, I feel like that's probably an eventuality.
Like they're doing with PS5 and Series X.
Xbox. It's crazy.
Yep.
Like the fact that those consoles sold out so quickly.
Yeah. They do that for everything though. Like as like even for K-pop albums, sometimes they in concerts and stuff like that, they will get the albums because they know that sometimes they're limited edition or limited prints. So they will do
So
that
people
so
buy
that
a
they can
bunch of them.
sell them on eBay and stuff like that, or for the photo cards sometimes or whatever it might be. So scalpers are really on it, and I think that's definitely something, without wanting to get too much into it, that's definitely something that people are going to have to be more careful about moving forward, like Sony and Nintendo and all of them, because obviously it means that less people are playing their systems. They're still getting the same amount of money, but it's like they're going to have to come up with some sort of solution where I don't know, people sign up and they get like direct links on their email or something. Like people who have PS Plus maybe get like an early go at it. I don't know. Like I know some websites. I know, for example, for some K-pop groups, they actually have their own fan site, so people have to pay for like a membership. But if you pay that, you actually get access to like a pre-sale link for a concert, for example, so that the scalpers don't get the best seats or whatever it might be. Just little ways to try to avoid that, I guess. But yeah, that's a whole other story for a whole other occasion. What are y'all
Yeah, I feel like we do,
playing?
like a whole,
What has
like
what has everyone been playing these days?
Who wants to
I
start?
have been playing. I can start.
Okay.
I have been playing Resident Evil 7. I am at the end. I'm in game. It's great. It's wonderful. I'm spooked. I'm hoping to finish it today.
Nice.
Since it's the last day of officially of spooky season. And then I started Genshin, like I mentioned, and I'm having fun with that, and I'm gonna get more into that this week. And that's pretty much it. That's kind of what I've been doing.
Yes.
Looking forward to the release of the new consoles and like
Very
imminently,
soon.
like November 10th, crazy. Xbox Series X comes out, and then 2 days later, PS5, I think.
Yep. On November 12th.
Very soon.
See?
Next episode is gonna be the last episode of current gen, y'all. In 2
Ooh.
weeks. In 2 weeks we're gonna be talking, and all the shit is gonna be hitting the fan, y'all. So that's gonna be exciting. Maybe we should have maybe next week we should do a look back at current generation, our favorites from PS4,
Ooh,
Xbox
I like
I love
One, just as a
Let's
way to
do it.
kind of say goodbye to the current gen, even though games are still gonna be coming out for them. But
So we'll look back.
yeah.
I'm
I like
about
that.
it.
What are you playing, Koga?
My week has got actually been kind of slow gameplay wise, so I've still was going through Doom Eternal. Um, Still been playing a little bit of on World of Horror. A Halloween update just came out yesterday, so there's some new endings, a new story, some new enemies, and things like that. So that's also kind of interesting. I also discovered Retro Arch. So yeah, retro gaming too.
Ooh, yes. I tried it out, but I couldn't get it to work.
No.
Yeah, it was just too confusing. There's too many menus with it, but yeah, I'm always down for some retro gaming. It's so much fun, especially like games that aren't
Yeah.
available for purchase. I'm like, yeah, hell yeah, let me get into it. I personally haven't really been changing anything up. I tried the other day the Mario um, Battle Royale. Um, is it like Super Mario 35 or something like that, where you're playing in real time with other people? It works
Oh yeah.
like
Oh
Tetris
yeah.
99, and like as you get
Yes.
coins, you basically get to sabotage people randomly, and like the last one standing wins or whatever it is. I panic too much at it. I'm a decent Super Mario gamer, but I just panic, y'all. I just panic, and I gave it a little bit of a try, and I was like, no, I don't think this is for me. This is too much.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, other than that, I haven't really been doing anything new. I played Wicked Willow. It's a visual novel centered around queer witches. And I
Hmm.
got a few of the endings. One really good ending, but I'm assuming there's a better ending than that. Um, because the game said so, basically. And no, it was really nice. It's set in the 90s. So some expressions are a bit outdated and stuff like that. But I really enjoyed it. Some of the characters are really really annoying. Um, but the game itself was nice, and I should preface this that I was given the code by the creator of the game, so all my thoughts. I didn't pay for the game, whatever, take that as you will, but I'm being honest about it. I feel like if this was some sort of weird deal, I would be like, the game is so great, I love all the characters. Like, no, like, so even the main character, I was like, girl, you need to stop, this is too much. um but in other news, I finished Leon Kennedy's perspective on Resident Evil 2, and I started
Ooh.
Claire's perspective on it, which is kind of weird. Like, not in a bad way, but I just feel like maybe I needed to not do it in the same day. Because I went from that feeling of, yes, I did it, to then being like, oh, I'm at the beginning of the game, I have to do everything again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I went from that high of like, yes, I did it, and now I'm like, oh god, I have to be at the police station again, and I have to do all these puzzles again, and I've been here before, and why am I doing this? And also, like, why are we never running into Leon, even though we were both in here? So I
Yeah.
just came up with this little headcanon. Actually, Spin did it when he was watching my stream, of like, let's just pretend that they were just like in opposite sides of the police station the whole time, and they just never magically bumped into each other.
They were just like one hallway away, like the whole time,
Yeah. The whole
and
time running
they never
side
saw
by
each
side
other,
on
or
different halls.
Yeah.
like
Um,
said anything to each other, but they were both there at the same time.
right? Exactly. I do like Claire as a character, and I do like that you barely use your handgun. Like, I feel like for Leon's perspective, you use your handgun like most of the time. The game is most generous with that. But with Claire, the game keeps giving me like either gunpowder or ammo for me to like explode things and use my acid and use the the flame explosives and stuff like that, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not mad about that, actually. I actually do enjoy exploding some zombies, in fact. Again, another flaw was that the acid explodes everywhere, and it's like, oh, she doesn't suffer any repercussions from the acid splatting on her. Love that. She's just an immune queen. She would do really well in 2020. Um, yeah, no, but other than that, still going at Spiritfarer as well. I got a new update to my boat, and I'm able now to crush rocks. I'm a rock destroyer, so I'm able to explore new parts of the map, and it's been super fun to advance in the story. That game is really rewarding. Like, you get to new places and you're like, new animals, new trees, new things, yay! Like, the game is just so rewarding. It's so much fun to play. What about you, Spin? What have you been up to?
I've been doing so much Genshin.
Hell yeah!
I've been playing it literally every single day this week. I'm about to get into like the Leroy storyline and getting into a new area, so I'm super excited about that because I've been in Mondstadt the whole time.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so I'm really excited for all that new stuff and for the update, of course. I played a little bit more of the Crown Tundra DLC. Like, I think with Isle of Armor, I made the mistake of literally just doing the entire thing in one day, and then I had nothing else to do. So I spent 9 hours and I just blasted through the whole story and like caught all of the Pokemon, and like literally the only things I still haven't done in Isle of Armor. I haven't gotten all the Diglets yet, but I'm very close. And I still have like maybe 2 more Pokemon to catch to complete the dex. But like I did everything in the first day, and
damn.
And then I was like, well, now what?
Right.
So I'm really taking my time with this one, and it feels like there's a lot more to like discover and do in this one. Because I finished the main storyline, the Calyrex storyline, with the new legendary Pokemon, and that was really fun. And there's a lot more of like, I feel like it involved a lot more like traveling and like the area itself. There's this cave that's like really easy to get lost in. I spent like hours in there. I feel like there's like a lot more to do, and it kind of adds more like time to the game and more like life to the game. And I think that's really cool.
That's good.
Yeah, I've been I played some Crash 4 with Jam on Wednesday, and I'm still loving that. And if y'all want to see more of that, I would definitely be down to continue. I unlocked a new mask. That new spin ability is wild.
We found a new character.
Oh my god,
Also-
Tana! Can I just play the entire rest of the game as Tana? Because she's everything to me. She like, I had to go back to Coco, and I was just like, oh.
Listen,
like, and
Coco
I love
is a
Coco.
queen.
No, Coco's amazing, but Tana,
We love Coco, don't get
she
me
is
wrong.
also amazing.
Tana is also an icon and a legend, and I love
Isn't she
her.
the original icon and legend? Yeah.
Yeah, but she's got a makeover, so
Yeah.
definitely check that out.
I love that.
It's wild.
It's a lot different.
It's wild. It's fun now.
It
was
changing
good.
it up a little bit,
Mhm.
Yeah, definitely stay tuned to twitch.tv/Just Gaming Tingz for our gaming streams, where you're going to be able to see more Crash 4 if you want to see. And potentially other games down the line. Listen, we're just focusing on the podcast right now, and we're occasionally throwing a couple additional streams in there.
I feel like once the next generation launches and like the new launch titles come out, maybe we'll have some like newer
Yeah.
games that we can do, because I'm really excited about the new Sackboy game, and I would definitely love to play that on here with y'all if y'all want to do that.
Yeah. I feel like we're in a weird place where it's like the calm before the storm, where it's like things.
Right.
It's not like
Where
there's
everything
nothing
comes
to play, but it's like it's like we're gearing up to things to come out. A lot of things in November, in particular. Definitely stay tuned, everybody. We unfortunately are still a baby channel, so we didn't get any of the early, unboxings or anything of the sort, but do feel free to support us on Just Gaming Tingz on Twitch, on Twitter. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel so that we can get a custom URL going. So we can be ourselves in there, you know what I mean? Look up Just Gaming Tingz on your favorite podcast services. We are on like 9 different platforms right now, Spotify included. So there's no excuse for you to not consume our show, whether it's on the go, whether it's if you're at home and you want to see our faces and you want to see the captions and all that fun stuff. And yeah, we'll be back next week. Like I said, we'll be talking about the news of that week, and we are doing a little bit of a look back at the current generation, our favorite titles that we've played, and things of that nature. So we hope to see you next week, everybody. Stay tuned. Stay safe. Happy Halloween. We're recording this on Halloween, so happy Halloweeny.
Happy Halloween,
everybody.
Yes. Be spooky at home. Don't go to parties. It's not worth it.
Stay at home.
Stay at
Still
home.
pandemic.
Dress up, but stay home. Alrighty. Goodbye, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Bye.